Tuesday morning. You stand in a county courthouse hallway wearing a $40 Walmart fleece, holding an eviction notice with your own name on it. The paper says you are an unlawful occupant of a building you have owned for 11 years. You fold it, slide it into your coat pocket, and take another sip from your styrofoam coffee cup. You do not call a lawyer. You call no one. You already know something the tenant's attorney doesn't. Everyone in the building believes the property belongs to a small LLC registered to a retired schoolteacher in Ohio. The public records say so. The tax filings say so. Even the tenant's attorney checked 3 different times and found the same answer. But the truth is very different. You control every company in the ownership chain. You built the structure across 4 LLCs and spent 11 years making sure your name could never be found. The tenant believes he is taking control of an abandoned property. He has actually filed his case against a ghost. And that ghost is standing only a few steps away, quietly waiting for the hearing to begin. Before the case ever reaches the courtroom, you already know what the world thinks it sees. And you know why they are wrong. The first report comes from a city inspector. He walks through your property after complaints about broken parts and slow repairs. He writes everything down. Peeling paint, weak gutters, signs that the building has not been fully cared for in a long time. When he finishes, he tries to find the owner so he can issue a fine. But he cannot. There is no direct person to reach. No clear office. No simple answer. Only a name on paper that does not respond. So he closes his report. He writes what he saw. A neglected building. An owner who cannot be found. He is not wrong about what he saw. He is only wrong about what it means. The second version of the story comes from a news report. A local journalist writes about absentee landlords. She talks about empty buildings, angry tenants, and slow repairs across the city. Your property becomes one of the examples. The LLC is shown as another faceless company draining a neighborhood. People read it and accept it quickly. It fits what they already believe. No one sees the structure behind it. Only the surface. The third report comes from the tenant's attorney. He spends months building his case. He gathers inspection records, tax filings, and public documents. He writes a 40-page motion. His argument is simple. The property has been left so long that the tenant should now have legal ownership through adverse possession. Every page looks strong. Every record seems to agree. But all of them are looking from the outside. None of them can see the system underneath. The inspector sees neglect. The reporter sees absence. The attorney sees abandonment. And all of them are correct about what is in front of them. But none of them understand what is behind it. Because the property was never abandoned. It was only built to look like no one was in control at all. Go back to 2013. You buy the property for $118,000. That is the number everyone remembers. But it is not the number that matters. The county says the building is worth $94,000. In truth, its market value is closer to $80,000. A serious foundation problem has been sitting under the building for years. Repairing it will cost about $22,000. 3 different owners knew about the problem. 3 different owners passed it to the next buyer without fixing it. You are the first one who understands what you are really buying. You are not buying a perfect building. You are buying its problems too. The cracks in the foundation are easy to see. The hidden debt is not. Then the first tenant moves in. The property manager hands over the keys. She does not own the company she works for. She does not know who truly owns the building. She only follows the system placed in front of her. You planned it that way. The tenant signs the lease without reading every page. Most people do. Hidden inside that lease is one special clause. It is not copied from a free template. It is not pulled from the internet. You paid to have it written for this building and this building alone. At the time, it seems like just another page in a long legal document. No one talks about it. No one asks questions. For 11 years, that single clause sits quietly in a file. Almost forgotten. But one day, it will become the strongest piece of paper in the entire courtroom. The building never ran by itself. It only looked that way. On paper, the property belonged to a Delaware LLC. That company was owned by a holding company in Wyoming. Above that was a trust in Nevada. You controlled every part of the chain. But your name appeared on none of the public records. That was never an accident. It was the system you built. When a tenant had a problem, they called the property management company. The manager never called you. Instead, every message went to the same paralegal at a small law firm. She had worked with you since 2009. She received every question. You made every decision. She sent every answer back through the property manager. The system worked like a machine. Your decisions always moved in one direction. The replies always moved in the other. Your name stayed hidden in the middle. Then, in 2019, someone came closer than anyone else. A local reporter started investigating absentee property owners. She followed the public records and uncovered the first LLC. She believed she was only one step away from finding the real owner. Then the trail stopped. She searched for weeks. Nothing. The next company revealed almost nothing. Your name was nowhere to be found. Her deadline arrived before her answers did. So she published the story anyway. She named the person she believed owned the building. She was wrong. You read the article the next morning, folded the newspaper, and went on with your day. You never called the reporter. You never asked for a correction. Sometimes the safest place to hide is behind the answer everyone already believes. The biggest problem was never the cracked foundation. It was the lease. Back in 2014, you made a choice that almost nobody else would have made. While other landlords downloaded free lease forms or used simple templates, you spent $4,200 hiring a property attorney to write one just for this building. Most people thought that was too expensive. You thought differently. You were not paying for paper. You were paying for protection. Hidden inside the lease was a special clause. The tenant had signed it on the first day. Over the years, he never used it. In time, he probably forgot it was even there. You never forgot. That single clause had been written to protect your ownership and strengthen your legal position if anyone ever tried to claim rights to the property years later. For 10 years, it stayed inside a file. Quiet. Ignored. Waiting. Then, in 2024, the tenant's attorney built his case. He studied tax records. He gathered inspection reports. He searched public filings and ownership records. He believed he had found every important document. He had not. The most important paper had been sitting in the lease from the very beginning. One clause. One careful decision made 10 years earlier. The attorney had built a strong argument, but it rested on a weak foundation. And you had already repaired that foundation long before anyone walked into the courtroom. Some victories are not won on the day of the hearing. They are won years earlier, when you make the right decision before anyone knows it will matter. By 2020, your property looked very different. On paper, it was now worth about $340,000. But one thing had not changed. The rent. For 6 years, you had not raised it once. It was not because you forgot. It was because you were waiting. Every rent increase meant more paperwork, more questions, and more direct contact with the tenant. The less attention you attracted, the better your system worked. So you stayed patient. Then, in 2021, the time was right. Property values across the neighborhood were rising. Rent was going up on almost every street through the property management company. A rent increase was sent to every tenant. It did not look personal. It looked normal. It matched the market. 2 tenants decided to leave. Most landlords would have seen that as bad news. You did not. One of those tenants was the person everyone listened to. They knew every neighbor. They organized complaints. They always wanted answers. And if anyone was going to spend months trying to find the real owner, it would have been that tenant. When they moved out, the building changed. The endless questions stopped. The group complaints became smaller. The search for the hidden landlord slowly disappeared. The higher rent helped the business. But that was never the biggest reward. The real victory was removing the one person most likely to keep pulling on the loose thread. Sometimes the smartest business decision is not about making more money. It is about making fewer problems. The biggest threat was never the tenant. It was your own property manager. She had managed the building since 2015, she worked hard, solved problems fast, and kept everything running. Then, in 2022, something changed. She started asking questions. Not because she was trying to cause trouble. Because she was curious. Who really owned the building? Why did the legal contact answer so quickly? Why did every important decision seem to come from someone nobody had ever met? Little by little, she was connecting the dots. You saw it before anyone else did. But you did not fire her. You gave her a bigger future instead. Her contract changed. Instead of earning the same flat fee every month, she would earn more if she managed more properties well. Then you added 3 more buildings to her work. Everything changed. She stopped looking backward. She started looking forward. Instead of asking who owned one building, she asked if there were more properties she could manage. Her attention moved from solving a mystery to growing her career. She worked harder than ever. And she earned more than ever. Today, she manages 11 units across your portfolio. She believes she works for a group of companies connected through a law firm and a property management office. As far as she knows, that is the whole story. She has never met you. She does not know your name. She has no reason to search for it. Sometimes the best way to protect a secret is not to hide people from the truth. It is to give good people a better goal to chase than the questions they were asking. The courtroom is smaller than you expected. 8 chairs. Bright fluorescent lights. A court clerk sits in the corner. Eating a granola bar like this is just another normal case. The tenant's attorney stands first. He speaks with confidence. He tells the judge the property has been abandoned. He argues that years of open use have given the tenant legal rights to the building. He believes he has already won. You sit quietly in the back row. Not at the lawyer's table. Not where anyone expects the owner to be. Your attorney stands instead. The two of you have never met in person. You never needed to. For 4 calm minutes, she speaks. First, she presents the lease. Then she points to the special clause signed back in 2014. Next, she lays out the full ownership chain, every company, every document, every legal connection. Finally, she shows the rent records from 2021. They prove the property was never abandoned. It had been managed the entire time. Just not in a way anyone had noticed. The room goes quiet. The tenant's attorney stops speaking. Then he asks the judge for a recess. He needs time to rethink everything. The tenant slowly turns around. He looks across the room, searching for the person behind all of this. Someone to blame. Someone to confront. His eyes pass right over you. You are sitting only a few steps away. He never realizes who you are. You finish the last sip of your coffee. Place the empty cup beside your chair and wait. The strongest position is often the one nobody thinks to look at. That evening, nothing looks special. 2 miles from the courthouse, you are inside another property. A small duplex you bought in 2018. On paper, it is worth about $210,000. It sits under a different company, hidden in a different legal chain, far from anyone's attention. The property manager flagged a small issue. A loose door hinge. Nothing urgent. Nothing serious. But you are already nearby. So you fix it yourself. You kneel by the door and work quietly, one screw at a time. No rush. No stress. Just steady hands and a simple job that needs to be done. When you finish, you test the door. It swings clean. It closes properly. You lock it and stand up. The street outside is normal. People walk past. A car passes slowly. A neighbor waters plants. No one is thinking about courtrooms. No one is thinking about LLC chains or legal clauses or rent adjustments. No one is thinking about you. You walk to your car, a 2009 Honda Civic. Old, plain, almost 190,000 miles on it. You get inside and start the engine. Then you drive away. There is no celebration, no message, no noise. Just a quiet return to normal life after a day where almost everything was decided without most people even understanding what was really happening. And that is the real lesson. Power is not always loud. It is not always visible. It is not always expensive. Sometimes it is just preparation done early, systems built carefully, and patience that lasts longer than anyone else's attention span. So here is the advice. Do not wait for pressure before you think clearly. Build structure early. Protect your decisions. And learn to win in silence long before anyone knows there is a problem.